What is up, everybody? Everything else is in maintenance right now, but Shining Beyond is not. So, gives me a good time to go in here and just kind of check my progress. Might as well do that since we, just got a UR character and everyone's kind of, keeping an eye on this girl's power and what she can do. I gotta say, I'm pretty damn impressed. And this is also one of those times where I don't know. I don't know if I went with the right build, because like I said, she can go either way, but I've just been noticing how much damage she can actually crank out. It's pretty ridiculous. So if we look at our heroes, obviously I've powered her up, but before we get to her, let's look at Sonya, my rogue, that's been doing the majority of the damage for me. She's at 64,759 power, right? If we look at her info, she's right under 5,000 attack, right? And obviously she's spec'd for all damage because that's what she's there for. Still love that Chainsaw Massacre. I just like hearing that chainsaw going. I think it makes a different sound when she gets a crit too. So right under 5,000. So here's Emma at a lower level, and she is, we look at her job, she is actually spec'd for Cleric. This is her. And she's right under 5,000 attack as well, right? So even though I've kind of taken the healing path, the extra support path, this is what I have. So Armageddon now it's a 5 missile attack, and it's doing a ton of damage. And when it crits, these missiles are hitting for like 15-20,000. I kid you not. Like, against some of the story bosses that I'm fighting. So it is just insane. I do have obviously a good weapon for her. I got her orange weapon, and I did upgrade it. I tiered it up. So that is, where a lot of her attacks coming from. Granted, my Sonya, well, actually, Sonya has a pretty decent weapon. It is not as powerful as this, so that's kind of like, I don't know, I would have to say, even if I didn't have this weapon, if we shaved 1,000 attack off of this girl, and her attack was only, 3,900, her damage is still very substantial, just because there's 5 of those missiles. And the other thing to really pay attention to is Armageddon here. It only costs 45 MP. That's a massive difference, right? Like, if you're throwing these abilities back to back to back, because it's 45 MP versus Chainsaw Massacre is at 55, right? Yeah. So she actually gets to throw her skill for a little bit less, and I think really in the harder content that will go a long way. Even Shizu, who's only at 3,500, because obviously I had to take her out of the party. And I had a higher tier weapon for her too, but I never really enhanced it all that much. Important thing is her skill. Yeah, it's about 55. That's what I figured. 55 is typically like the average for a good damage skill. Even Fran is at 50. Fran is at 50 for an ability that, she pays hit points for. You know what I mean? Of course, they're going to sweeten the pot a little bit. They're going to shave 5 off. But 55 is still pretty much the average that I've seen so far for throwing an awesome ability like that. So that just gives Emma a huge leg up. The fact that hers is cheaper. And it's no slouch either. They call it Armageddon for a reason. There's 5 missiles there. There's life mark. There's an attack down. That's pretty damn nifty. So she's still bringing a ton of damage alongside all of the support. And I do like her fear ability. Her weapon skill, some people have pointed out, they kind of think is a little bit useless because it's only regeneration for her. I guess though, if it comes down to a pretty desperate fight, and this girl takes some damage, I guess the idea is she can use fear and make people run away. Then maybe she can use her weapon skill so that she can attack the enemy while they're running around, and she can heal herself up. And hopefully by the time fear kind of wears off, maybe by then you can cast Armageddon, and that's kind of like, you know, the big picture play, and then you can dump a ton of damage that might just help you finish something that you probably shouldn't have started if your whole party is absolutely getting wiped out. But it does give you a ray of hope there. Emma can pull off a pretty crazy power play depending on the situation that she's put into. You actually have to play her and think about it, though. She has a way to make people run around like idiots. She has a way to heal herself, and she has a way to do a ton of damage. Especially if you're fighting one big boss, right? Because you're fighting that one big boss. She's going to get to throw Armageddon, which is somewhat spammable because it costs less. And it's 5 missiles each time. So it's really good damage. And then I also think the reason it works out so well for me is because on the weapon I have skill critical plus 17.5%. I think that is where I see all the crazy ass damage come from, right? On top of that, this weapon does give me plus 4 to my Armageddon. So works out very well. The damage is just absolutely ridiculous, and this is pretty much what you can expect from this character. And I've also talked to a player that has her at, let's see, what did he say? She was at 7 or 8 star, something like that. Because obviously mine is scraping 4 star. I'm trying to get to 5. It would be nice. I think there is a bundle for $100. You can get like 100 of her shards. So they're really pushing that to the whales. A little bit of whale candy there. I don't know. I think she's plenty good. I don't need to throw $100 at it for 100 shards right now. I think I'll be alright. She's plenty powerful. Although this would give her a pretty damn substantial boost. But, you know, I have 100 of her shards that I've managed to get from some of those little event boxes. I forgot exactly what they're called, but there's been, you know, little pockets of shards of her here and there in some of these little boxes. And I did manage to get lucky a little bit. So that's where I'm at with her. But like I said, I've talked to somebody that has her all the way decked out, and they said, yes, there is a huge power boost. She is super powerful. I didn't get into all the details of the builds, but just from what I'm seeing, I could see this girl really drop a lot of DPS, is what I'm saying. So even I myself might rejob her and maybe go the mage way, right? The arcane buster way, where it's a ton of damage and support. Even the elementalist. So I don't know, stuff to consider. Guys, let me know how your build is going for her so far. For me, it's pretty damn skippy. She's pretty much got a pretty concrete spot in my party already. After just having her for a day. I'm sorry, Shizu, I love you. You were my first love in this game. But you're just going to have to sit out for a second, right? Because there's no way I'm giving up the sound of Sonya's chainsaw. I'm sorry, it sounds too good. I dig it. I like her design. I just think she is so cool. And not to mention, this one's not doing that bad, right? Right under 5k attack. I mean, she's pretty much matching a UR character's attack. And her skill, of course, I do get like 400% out of the skill of her attack. And it does do a lot of bleeding and stuff like that. So just between the two of them, it's a ton of damage. I also have Fran, who is able to dump her hit points that much more. And Fran's damage is absolutely just, it's retarded. It's broken, right? Because it's going to scale off of her hit points. And it's just so much, because this girl, I mean, my Fran has 20,000 hit points, right? Give or take. And then what is this thing? So she's sacrificing 10,000 hit points, and she's getting, 2,800. So she's doing like 30,000 damage, right? That is pretty awesome. 28,600 damage, whatever it is. That's pretty impressive considering she can literally drop that back to back, right? Because if you have lifesteal, if you have that life marker up, she's scoring some of that damage that she's doing back as healing. And then if you have another healer, which is what I have going on, I haven't taken Neeko out of the party. The healing is just too good, and it is just too easy to spam Fram's hit points on top of having Sonya there applying the vulnerable debuff. Hope I'm saying that right. I think I just named that wrong. And on top of that, the bleeding. So it leads to an enemy that's extremely broken all the way around, especially with Emma breaking their attack. And stuff just dies between the bleeding, the burst damage from Emma. So she plays very good with the chef. I don't know. I don't dig the chef's rating. I personally think he's a 4.9 character. That is just me, though. So I found a way to make her work very well. Oh, look at that. Athena is still the top ranked character in the game. And Emma, our UR character, she is ranked 4. So we'll have to see. But Emma, she is a force. She is a damn force to be reckoned with. And like I said, I think there is a good way to play her. But you actually need to make things run away. Because remember, her attack is ranged, right? And while something's running around, you're pretty much just waiting for your cooldown. And then you can drop your Armageddon again, right? Especially if you got some mana saved up. So I think it's going to be hard for a lot of things to survive a few Armageddons, right? Because no matter what you go up against now, you're going to get to drop Armageddon as soon as you get there. Whatever you're fighting is going to have to chew its way through your whole party. And then when your whole party's dead, right, you still have Emma there who can hopefully cause some fear and maybe get another Armageddon in or two. And, I mean, that's going to finish a lot of things just off of the damage that I've seen it do, because it's 5 hits at a time. If you can get some crit on that, and you could just get some really ridiculous numbers out of that. And like I said, mine's not even spec 4 damage. So I can only imagine, instead of hitting for 15, 20,000 right now, should be hitting for 25,000, right? And it's not just one hit, we're talking 5, right? On top of all the breaks, on top of everything. So although I got to say, I do appreciate the healing. I appreciate the healing. I think it does help Fran. She's losing less of her hit points when she's sacrificing them if that lifesteal is up, right? And because I have Neeko there, and Emma, Fran just is not ever in a situation where she's running out of hit points that are being recycled. And really cranking the max amount of damage out of Fran, that is a very cheeseworthy way to go. Because like I said, I mean, Fran could just have so many hit points, and I'm about to upgrade her, right? Fran is nowhere near her peak, and all you have to do is build Fran for hit points. It's a very simple thing to do. Invest in some good armor, find stuff that has a ton of hit points, and boom, you're all set. So I've managed to find a way to make her work very well with my preferred tank that I've been building up, which is Fran. But like I said, you can make her work with Athena very easily, right? Athena would totally be a great tank to swap Fran out if I wanted to. I'm just a little more invested into Fran, even though I've pulled more dupes of Athena. So I think that switch might be inevitable. Thing is, I think, yeah, Athena might hold up more as a tank than Fran. But the way that I got it going on right now, there's no way that Athena's lightning is going to be able to keep up with the damage that Fran can produce while sacrificing her hit points. Right. Now, Fran does make herself a little bit vulnerable there. Right? If you're fighting a really tough boss and you throw too many of your hit points away, even though you got heals on the way, if a boss drops a nuke right after you sacrificed half of your health and you're waiting for that heal to proc for just 1 second, I mean, hey, you can lose your tank. It's a risky play. Right? It's a risky strategy with a high reward. I totally dig it, and I think it's cool. Athena is going to be a more sound strategy. You just have a tank that's super tanky. She's gonna reflect more damage. She still has a way to do some damage with that lightning thing of hers that scales off of her defense. And I'm pretty sure Athena has a higher defense also than Fran. So there's that. You can make Emma work with either one of them. But I would not dump your healer, and I would start looking at Emma, really at her damage potential. So that's pretty much the next step that I'm taking. I just realized I'm gonna have to upgrade her healing a lot. If I ever want to really take my other healer out, right? Unless I'm just not seeing something and her healing can scale up a lot more. I'm just, at this point, I'm more interested in her damage. Now, that's just pretty much my take on it. So, guys, let me know if I missed something. But this is how my Emma's looking, after a day, right? I've also had other gachas to keep up on and work and things to do. So I wish I could have made some more progress, but she's looking good. I'm happy with that attack. I'm happy with what she does. And, of course, just a wonderful sprite. And I'm happy I'm able to come in here and record while every other gacha I play is in maintenance. So, gotta give Shining Beyond some props for that too, right? Alright, guys. Have a good night. Peace, everybody.